Okay, it's about time to get started. Hi, I'm Josh, product manager at CQG. Today we are going to do another live event where people who have questions about building custom studies can just chat with us directly in this sort of informal community environment. We think it will make it easier for people to learn what kind of questions other viewers have and ask their own questions and kind of learn from each other. And last time we did this, I went through and created just some really simple studies to give you an idea of the syntax of custom studies in our formula builder, which is, you just go up to the formula tab, and I believe we did a moving average study. Let's see if it's still there. Called it maybe my moving average. Let's see. Here it is. And then we did some iterations on this study and showed a lot of different ways you can use Formula Builder to really get creative and build exactly the kind of model you want to visualize the markets. So let's see here. Looks like I'm getting a chat. Someone says, "Hi Josh, is it possible to include references to the volume point of control in studies, strategies, and scanning?" Yes, I actually talked to other product specialists about the volume related studies. CQG has a few. One of them is volume profile, and I'm showing that on the chart right here. The other is market profile. I believe that's an enablement, but market profile has a lot of information. So to get volume point of control in the volume profile, it's visible on the chart, but as you can see in the cursor window down in the lower left, we don't have any of the values for volume profile in there. And since it isn't recognized by CQG as a curve, we can't use its volume profile, its volume point of control value. So we're not lost though. In market profile, we can reference those values in Formula Builder, and I created a study to do that. So let me go into Formula Builder and show you. So let's create a new study, and we'll call it volume point of control. Then in the study category on the toolbox to the left, and for those of you who haven't seen this before, here's my Formula Builder. I can type in everything I want and need if I know it by heart, but if I don't know it, I can open up the toolbox. And actually the toolbox is great because it has a lot of different functions, operators, just about everything you can create in CQG or anything that's built into CQG is available in this toolbox. Unfortunately, volume profile stuff isn't, but let's go down to market profile value area. And here we can find the market profile value area point of control. We'll add that. Now, I can either click on this and click on setup to get into the parameters to make sure I'm looking at the exact time range I want, the right exchange inputs. I can look at either tick or exchange. So if I go to setup, I want to calculate on volume rather than price. And see the start time, I want it to be, let's just say day. I hit OK. And I'll hit close. Then let's add this study. And it's important, like a lot of times people will have their basic study category by default just selected. And so after they create a custom study, they open up this new add study dialog, and all they see are the basic studies. So yeah, there's that market profile value area. And that's actually this study here that's already displayed. I'll remove that. But it's not the custom study that we just created, which we called volume point of control. So let's add that and then find that in the custom studies category. And then there it is. So add it. And here's that value down here. What I forgot to do, what I always forget to do, is click the checkbox in Formula Builder right next to the abbreviation overlaid. Because this output, this result, has the same price scale as the chart, as the underlying instrument, I want to actually display this on the chart. If it's like an oscillator or something derivative of the price that isn't really on the same scale, I'd want to put that on a subchart, so I wouldn't click overlaid. So select that, and let's add the study again. Double click, and now here it is. Here's the volume point of control, and as you can see, it lines up directly with the volume profile's volume point of control. So that's one way you can use that value in a study. Now, once we've done that, let's actually create another curve just so you can see how you can use this value and build things on top of it. So we'll copy this, we'll call it curve 2, and we're going to add let's call it well, I'm not calling it anything. This is the CQG function t size. 1 second here. So I'm going to add tick size times, say, 5. So I'm going to add 5 ticks to the original value and apply that. And now I've got the volume point of control plus 5 ticks. And if we wanted to, we could do C3, change that plus to a minus. And hold on. Maybe I didn't hit apply. Size, apply. Why isn't that showing up? Let's see here. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so this value isn't showing up. It's time for debugging. More often than not, I write studies that don't work right away. So let's try debug or BPOC debug. Now let's paste. Nope. Let's go back here. Copy this. Go in here. Paste it. Now I'm going to remove my old study because right now they're overlaid. And let's add this. Again, I forgot to overlay that. Remove it. Add it again. Okay, so there's that. Now, minus t size times 5. And it looks like it's adding tick size times 5, which is odd. So let's try something else. Let's add this times -5. Nope. Let's tick Strange. Okay, all is not lost. And get rid of that tick size again. Okay, sometimes this is a function of, how do I undo this? Bear with me 1 second. Sometimes we just need to separate it out into different variables and get it to work that way. Oh, someone just told me that I forgot to set the scale. He's probably right. So let's do this again. This is a classic error. Modify this. Let's go to display. And the share scale here is set to auto. In custom studies, setting this to auto can cause you problems all the time. Let's change that to on. Hit it, apply. Okay. Now let's try that again. So formula A minus T size, and it adjusts it down. Okay, so that was the problem. Hopefully that was the problem. I didn't have my scale set correctly. So let's remove that. Let's add the original study again and modify it. Change all these to on. Apply. Let's go here. Minus T size times 5. There we go. So now we've created like a band, 5 ticks on either side of the volume point of control. And that's how you would take a built-in CQG study and build on top of that to really quickly, easily, once you get the hang of those tricky spots that you have to watch out for. But that's how you can really quickly build studies on top of existing formulas. So hopefully that answers the person's volume point of control question. Unfortunately, it looks like you need market profile enabled for to use that right out of the box, as volume profile itself, that study isn't exposed in Formula Builder. I think it has something to do with the way it's the horizontal display is displayed, but I'll see about talking to our product development team if we can expose the certain curves like volume point of control for sure. If it's possible, then we'll make that available in the future. But right now, it's only available, as far as I can tell, in market profile. Got another question. Let's see. Do you have any tools that do not ever lose? No. And if I did, I would tell you, but I don't. We have no tools that never lose. And actually, everything I'm showing you here is just for demo purposes. I'm not suggesting any of these studies are good for trading, but a lot of these are really popular. We wouldn't include them in our system if they weren't at least used by traders and asked for by traders. But as far as never losing, no, we don't have anything like that. Let's see. I don't seem to have any other questions right off the bat, but I wanted to show something pretty interesting for people who like to bring their custom studies into Excel, or would like to bring their custom studies into Excel. Lots of people are familiar with using RTD links to bring values from CQGIC into Excel. Well, what if you create a custom study? It's not necessarily as easy. So You can download from our website this studies RTD file, and in it you'll find all of the built-in study um, syntax for moving average, oscillators, yeah, you name it, stochastics. Really handy to like really quickly get your basic study values into Excel. If you want to do any sort of data modeling in Excel, um, this file is a great start. So, but what if you want to bring your own custom study in? It's not as straightforward. So I'm going to sort of help you understand the structure of an RTD formula and show you how you can get the information you need from Formula Builder and um, write your own RTD formula to bring that study into Excel. So let's go to the documentation tab here. This was written by developers, so if you're a developer, this probably makes perfect sense to you. If not, don't worry. It doesn't make much sense to me, but it doesn't have to. It's just good to know, like you can, if I go to an Excel formula, let's just say here, and I actually want to go to a study formula here, and I kind of hover over this, I click on here, you'll see that the RTD formula is broken up into what they call topics, right? So if I go back to the documentation, you can see what is expected in each one of these, quote unquote topics, separated by commas and contained in quotation marks. This probably is an unnecessarily long explanation, but I just wanted to give you some context in case like you were the type of person who really digs into how are these things built and what do I need to change in order to get my own things into CQG. This is how I would go about it, and I think you should go about it as well. So let me go back to here. Let's take let's go back to here, get a study formula, say this one, copy it, come back into this page here. No. Paste. There we go. No, I didn't do that right. Bear with me 1 second. Let's go back here. Control C, hit enter, then come back here. Excel's funny. If you try and copy what's in a cell value and you don't hit enter, somehow it empties the clipboard. But so you just have to go into a cell, select it, copy it, then hit enter, and it takes it. So we get an error. That's because this cell here is expecting a symbol. And so we could reference this. Let's make it A2. And then here we'll put CLE. Now we get a value. Right? So I also could have put that right in here. Let's make this S&P so you can see it change. There. So this 1, 2, 3, 4th topic is the instrument reference for this study. Now let's change it back to A2. Now it's an A2. This makes it easy because I can just change this to S&P, corn, right? Oh, corn's really high for stochastics, etc. Now let's go on to the next portions of the RTD formula. After the symbol, we see the study name. This is where you kind of have to go back and forth from IC to Excel and just make sure you're getting the right information at the right time. So let's go into IC, go into my formula, and actually, let me close this, open a new chart so that all this is easier for you to see. Here's S&P. Actually, let's look at corn. That was interesting. And actually, let's throw stochastics on there too. Okay, it doesn't look like the same stochastic value in Excel as it does on this chart. So I'm looking at a 5-minute chart here. I wonder what the difference is here. So in here, in this Excel RTD formula, this D over at this topic, that's the chart interval. So if I change this to 5, I believe I can just do it like that. Now it's at 60. I don't think that's correct. Let's see here. 133. No, that's not right. Just bear with me here. Let's change this chart to daily. Still not the same. I don't really want to spend too much time in drilling into this topic yet because we're going to get there. But it could be also in the other parameters, the difference between what's on the chart and what's in the stochastic. So you have to, make sure that all of your parameters are exactly the same if you want to compare the chart to Excel. But for now, let's go on to a custom study I created. This one is a crazy trend line study. It's not in basic studies. It's something I created, so it's in my custom studies. And it's called trend mid. So what this does, and we'll make this a 5-minute chart again. Actually, it doesn't look good. Let's make it a 30-minute chart. So what this is a trend line study that looks for the lowest low over the last n number of periods. I'll show you the formula. I wrote this so long ago, it takes me probably 20 minutes to go back in and look at my own formula and figure out what I did. But basically, it looks for the time when the current low is less than or equal to the channel low over a set period of time, and then counts how many bars it's been since that happened, and it computes the slope, and it gets the next, it computes the slope of each segment from that time when the low was equal to or lower than the channel low, and compares, if you were to draw a line from there to each successive low, like which slope would be the steepest, or actually the least steep, because we don't want any of those to penetrate it. And it generates a trend line that way. So it's a really complicated study. I probably could have written it more elegantly to make it clearer for other people, including myself, but that's how it is. So let's modify this from 7 periods to say 30 periods. And you can see, so now if this is the lowest low over the last 30 periods before it, so it starts looking to see what the trend line is going to be, and as that slope keeps getting less and less steep, it adjusts, accordingly. And then up here, and then probably at this time, this becomes the new channel low. So it's not perfect, but it's my study, and it's what I'm going to show you to demonstrate how to get stuff into Excel. So what I need to do is in the custom study thing, look at the abbreviation. It's TRNDMID, right? So I'll copy that and I'll go into Excel and I'm going to change the f-stochastic to that value. And now I have to add this hat symbol that tells CQG that this is a custom study. All right. Now, what else do I need? Well, I need to add these two parameters. And I could, type them myself, like just manually look and see what it is. But there's sort of a better way. If you right-click on this study name, click on Send To, go to Clipboard, and then let's open up Notepad, paste it. Okay, so here's all the information that CQG knows about that study I built. And up here we've got the parameters. Here we've got one curve, and then down here we've got another curve. And if you look on my study, I have uptrend lines and downtrend lines. So as the market's going down, the downtrend line looks better. But that's how it is. So let's say we want to take the up mid curve and let's see here. I'm missing something. Bear with me 1 second. Okay. So we're going to change this to user mid equals 7. So I grab it from here. Copy. Paste. And we're going to change this to offset equals -1. Copy. Paste. And then this is going to be up mid. Okay. And there's the value. So again, I think this is on a daily chart. So let's change this to, we'll first change this back to 7. Okay, change this to a daily chart. Okay, and I'm getting 351.5, and on here I'm getting 351. It could be an offset thing, so let's make this 0. Now, I'm not sure why I'm not getting the same exact value. But as you can see, this is pretty close. Let's change this to 5. 361. Change this to 5. 361.25. So it could be a rounding issue as well. Let's take a look at format cells. General number. Actually, I don't think so. Well, I will figure this out and do a follow-up, but that is essentially how you get a custom study into Excel using RTD. And that's pretty much what I wanted to show you guys today. If there aren't any other questions, we can, wait, I got one now. Can that study be translated for the highs as well? Oh yeah. So I just showed you the low. I used up mid So let's just copy this whole thing over one cell and then call this, I forget what I called it, down mid. It's original. And let's see, let's make this daily again. Change this to daily. Okay, so here are the values, 351 and 362 and a quarter. On here, I've got 351, 362 and a quarter, so it's working now. I guess I was looking at, I have this offset by 1 bar because I don't like it when I can't know if the current bar is going to go through the previous bar or not. And so just for using this sort of trendline study and other, like a trading system or something like that, I would want to know, I just want to use the previous bar sort of as my gauge of whether or not it's breaking through, because it's going to update the current bar in real time and it will never really break through, if that makes sense. So that's why I have it offset like that. And unfortunately, it makes troubleshooting somewhat difficult, but that's it. So now you can see here this trend line started coming down. It comes from the high, off the high, keeps coming down, and then readjusts here. But at this point, I'm only using the 7-period channel, right? So it's only looking at the neighboring 7 periods to see if this is the high. And actually it looks back 7 periods. It's not like it's looking forward as well. It's just looking back. But that's how it works. It has limitations, but it's kind of cool, and maybe you can adopt it. Feel free to send me an email at joshf@cqg.com, and I'm happy to send this to you as a pack so you have it, and maybe you can improve it, make it better. But that's what it does. It just tries to find the trend channel, like the best trend channel. A lot of times, I'll show you one limitation of this thing. A lot of times you'll get the lowest low, and then the next bar is just a quarter tick higher, and then it uses that curve or that slope forever, and I really wish it didn't do that. So if I were to go back in and modify the study, and I might, I would ignore the second from, I would ignore that first next bar after the channel low, after the low equals channel low. I think that would make a better study, because I don't know about you, but I would probably pointer tool, trend, I'd probably draw this, or maybe even this, but it's entirely subjective, and who knows if these are valid things to begin with. So definitely not a trading suggestion, just saying if I'm analyzing the market, that's how I'd probably do it. So if there are no more questions, we can wrap it up this time, and feel free to email us, call us with any sort of help you might want for building custom studies, or just tune in here again. We're going to hold a lot more of these live events. It's kind of fun to get people chatting and questions and building things on the fly. So that's it. Thanks a lot.